Hello and welcome to another episode of the Solo Collective podcast. My name's Matt Saunders. I'm your host. I am a coach to freelancers and creative agency owners. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I don't tend to have these long, rambling introductions. I don't have advertisements wedged in at the beginning or halfway through. And this episode is going to be no different. So I'm going to dive straight in because in the spirit of the title of this podcast episode, which is all about just getting started with something, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to dive right into this one. So, how to just get started. One of the big issues that I see people facing in business and in the creative industries is that they have loads of ideas, but they don't take action on any of them. Or if they do, they kind of take a little bit of action and then lose inspiration, or they kind of hit a ceiling and don't really know where to go. So they row back. They go back to safety, back to the place that they know, doing what they did previously. And the problem with this is that you're only moving forward very, very, very slowly, if at all. What you have to do is get started on something and make a commitment to moving forward with it. And the reason that I'm talking about this today is because last year I launched a membership community called the Solo Collective. And that's where the idea for this podcast came from. Now, I want to just lift the lid on this a little bit because this membership has been around for about 6 months now. And it's a totally new business model to me. And I just want to share some of the kind of struggles that I've been having with it and just talk about how I have hit my own self-imposed glass ceiling with this business, but also want to share with you how I'm breaking through that ceiling so you can have a look at your own circumstances and maybe borrow some of the ideas that I'm going to share with you now so that you can continue to progress in your own life. Now, I just want to row back to, I think it was around July, August 2023. And I'd been coaching for a while. I've been doing one-to-one coaching. I'd run various group sessions. And I was thinking, how can I reach more people? Like, I've got a lot of experience in this sector and I believe I've got a lot of value to give. And though I love like the one-to-one coaching and I love running groups, I was enchanted by this idea of having a one-to-many offer, i.e. a membership. So something that could potentially serve hundreds and hundreds of people at a low fee. So a lot of the times people tell me, I would really love to work with you. I love your content on YouTube, but I need to get some guidance from you. I want some advice from you. I want to speak to you, but I can't afford it. And so I want to make this as accessible as possible, which is why I launched the membership. So the first thing I did was I had this idea. I'm going to set up a very simple e-commerce product, which is a subscription, invite people to pay a monthly fee, and then we're going to run a Zoom call every couple of weeks, and it'll be like a Q&A session. I will invite guest speakers, and I'll also run my own presentation sharing the things that I know about building a creative business. And I'm really proud to say that I took action on that very quickly. In the space of a couple of weeks, it went from idea to launch, and I had 28 or 30 paying members in that membership. So you can kind of see how when you really take action on something from an inspired place, it can come to fruition so quickly. However, I began to realize pretty quickly that inspiration has a bit of a shelf life. It can only take you so far before you need to replenish the stock. And I was finding after a couple of months that I was losing a bit of gusto for this project, for this business, whatever you want to call it, this membership. And I started to see it as a bit of a drag. I was like, what do I do next? I've had some guest speakers in, we've done some calls. I'm losing some members here as well. So, you know, there's a big issue within the membership model is member churn rate. You know, people don't stick around if they're not feeling like they're getting consistent value. And obviously there are other reasons why people leave as well. But when you are seeing people leave, more people leave than people come into the membership, that's when you start to freak out a little bit. So I took action very quickly on this. I launched it. It's kind of like jumping out of a plane. I was like, the adrenaline was going and I was like, yes, we can do this. This is going to be amazing. And I jumped out and I was like, look at this vista. I could feel the rush of air on my face. But then I kind of realized I didn't have a parachute. And so I was like, shit, what the hell do I do now? How do I keep going with this thing that I've started? How do I keep growing it? How do I keep progressing it? How do I keep moving forward with it? And so one of the things that I did was I decided to move the members over to a closed platform. So we used a platform called Circle. You can find out about this, by the way, if you go to mattsaunders.uk/membership. All the details are on there, plus the link to sign up. And what that did, that injected a new sense of motivation into this membership because all of a sudden we were in this private community where we could all see each other. We all had our biographies, we were sharing our problems, we were sharing our wins. You could book onto calls from there. It reinvigorated that community space, and that was great. But a few weeks in, same problems start to occur. What next? Where do I go from here? And so I started to see members leaving again. And without a mindset and a strategy for continuing to bring those new members into the community, it can feel like you are free falling. And so I decided to reach out to a couple of people actually who I could get some inspiration from and some learnings from. I enrolled on a coaching program it cost me about 5 grand actually, with a guy who's built a membership of his own. And, they're dealing with member churn rates, they're dealing with all the problems that you have when you run a membership, but they've broken through a lot of those challenges. So I got support there. And that was great to be in the presence of somebody who is bringing in 30 or 40 grand a week in membership fees. That's crazy to me. But people are out there doing this, and it's not about the money, of course. Money's a beautiful thing and it's a great tool. But what we're really looking for here is impact. It's growth. It's spiritual growth, if you like. It's if you can be somebody who runs a membership site or any business that turns over a lot of money, then money generally equals impact. If you're doing it right, money equals impact. And you grow. You have to grow as a person in order to kind of hit those numbers. So I did that. I also booked a meeting with a woman called Leah Turner, who runs her own online community called The Halt. Now, I think she did something amazing with this. I think it was within a couple of years, she'd grown to 450 members and has a wait list of 600 more. And again, to me, these numbers are crazy. And it kind of makes me think, how do these people operate at this level? How do they reach such heights? And so I booked a meeting with her. She does one-to-ones, like these pick my brain sessions, if you like. And she charges £500 for an hour. To a lot of people listening, that's going to be like, wow, £500 for an hour. But think about it. This person has built a community. She's done what I'm looking to achieve. She's done it. So why would I not invest a little bit of money to go and learn from her? And I reached out to her and I said, can I come over and meet you in person? You're only in Manchester, I'm in Leeds. So that's what we did. And again, like some of the nuggets of wisdom from that conversation, I'm instantly beginning to apply to my membership. So the point that I'm making here is that you are going to hit a ceiling in whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's your fitness journey, whether it's your business journey, whether it's your personal growth, whether it's your relationships. Everything is either expanding or contracting. And, for me, the membership model is that truth magnified. A membership can expand and contract very, very rapidly, I've learned. A service-based business that has only a handful of clients at any one time, the lead time of everything is much longer. So you can't necessarily see the expansion and contraction in the same way that you can low fee membership models. And so the purpose of this episode is to talk about how to get started with something, but also how to sustain that motivation and momentum once you get started, because things aren't necessarily going to keep rolling in the right direction of their own accord. And what I've come to is this kind of 6-step process, if you like, that I've seen play out in my own professional life many times, but never more so acutely as in this membership business. So the first step is you have an idea. We all have ideas, right? We all have these ideas of what we want to do, whether it's a new service, a new product, a new business idea, a marketing thing that we want to do. We all have these ideas. Like, it's a natural thing for humans to do. The next step is to allow yourself to actually let that idea take root, to actually dream. Because often the first thing that we do when we have an outlandish idea is we try and rationalize it, we try and think how we're going to achieve it. We come up with all kinds of objections and excuses in our minds as to why it's not possible. And then that idea just kind of dissipates. And this is how you end up living a life in someday world where you actually never do anything. And that's really not a place that I want to be. And it's not a place, thankfully, I've visited many times. I tend to take action pretty quickly. So have an idea and let yourself dream, let yourself see it come to fruition in your mind. And then the third step is simply to take the most inspired action that you can to make that idea realized. So in my case, it was to send out a message to my newsletter subscribers and say, I'm launching a membership. If you'd like to join, this is what it looks like. Click here and sign up. And sure enough, they began to do that. I'm not saying that it's going to be that easy for you, and I'm not saying that that's going to be replicable, but the point is, I didn't overthink it. I didn't worry too much. I just took the inspired action. The fourth step is one that I couldn't have foreseen coming, which is to freak out and ask yourself what the hell you do next. Because once you take that first step or those first few steps, you can then start going, oh God, what am I doing? I've come this far. I've jumped out of the plane. I don't have a parachute. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And again, a lot of the times, this is when you can run back to safety. You launch the business, you launch the service, you feel inspired about it. And then weeks, sometimes even days later, you have kind of a dopamine crash. You lose enthusiasm. It's out in the world now, and you're like, right, what do I do next? So that tends to happen quite a lot. The fifth step is to get guidance. It is to go and speak to someone, ideally somebody who has done what you're trying to achieve. And don't for one moment think that what you're trying to achieve is 100% unique. I promise you, it isn't. You may have an idea that is relatively unique. You may have a business that very few people are actually doing, and that's great. But there are going to be components of that business that other people have mastered. So you might as well get out there and speak to those people. And two things are going to come from this. First of all, it's going to help shed light on what the next steps for you could possibly be. You need that. That's the sort of how-to guide, if you like. Without that, you're not going to know what steps to take. But also, the second thing is you're going to get inspired again, because you're going to be in the presence of someone who has developed what you're trying to develop, who has what you want. So feel that inspiration and energy again for your idea. And then the sixth step is simply to repeat. Go back to the start, have the idea, let yourself dream uninhibited, take the most inspired action, hit the ceiling again, don't know what you're doing, freak out, then go and get help. The help will show you what to do next, and it will help you feel inspired in order to take those next steps. Then repeat. This has probably been the most raw episode that I've recorded so far, because usually I only share advice or insights on things that I have solved myself, problems that I've actually solved. This is a problem that I'm currently grappling with. So I thought I would just put this out there and just tell you, hey, I'm dealing with this right now. I've got a membership that's currently contracting. How do I get back into expansion? How do I find inspiration and those next steps in order to keep growing it? And I'm sure that you can apply what I'm talking about here to your own business. So I hope this one was helpful. Again, you can check out the membership at mattsaunders.uk/membership. If you're a creative freelancer or a solo business owner, you will be welcome into that community. But also at this point, I'm open to feedback. I'd love to hear what people want. So if you're a copywriter, or maybe you run a website development business, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your challenges are in your business, what your goals are. The more we shed light on what people are up to in this industry, the better we can all do as an industry. The more we can pay ourselves, the better work we can do, the better clients that we can get. This is really the energy behind the Solo Collective community. So if you want to be a part of that, check out the website. Feel free to join. You can contact me as well on LinkedIn. Just search for Matt Saunders. Send me a message on there. I'd love to hear from you. And lastly, before I go, if you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate it on whatever podcast streaming platform you're using and share it with one of your friends. That would be really appreciated. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next one.